Hello, ladies and gentlemen. We are back on Surreal Melbourne at what seems like an eternity away from doing this. We're finally back, and in here today in the studio, I have the two legends who run Hard Kandy. We have Scott Alert and Jim Axiotis. Boys, how are we today? How are we feeling? Got the jitters?
Yeah, no, not at all. No, we're feeling good.
I've done this before.
Yeah. Well, actually, we haven't, not in like 2 years. So, welcome. It's good to be here.
Yeah, no, enjoying this. Looking forward to it.
So, we were having many conversations before we started this, which is funny when I ask you, how are you today? But anyways, because that's a great conversational starter, right? So, so I wanted to, just so people get an idea of who you guys are. Some people might have not heard of Hard Kandy before, but you guys are one of the most prominent outfits out of Melbourne to be doing hard trance, hard dance events, and amongst other genres that you've gone into. And you're involved in a lot of things, different things. But to begin with, how about we just start with, let's start with Hard Kandy before we go on to who is Scott Alert and who is Jim Axiotis. Just so, in your words,
Sure.
What would you define Hard Kandy and your ethos? And
Good question. So, well, obviously, Hard Candy's been around, 22 years now? Totally amazing. It's hard to believe we're still here after such a long adventure. It really started out back 1999 when we came up with the idea. Back then, there was a need for a different sound of music. There was a big movement with hard house and hard trance, and my partners back then, Ajax and Crash, we're all evolving with some new sounds. We're like, let's create a club that reflects this new movement and generation, and we'll toy up ideas. What could we call it? What would represent it? How's it going to look? You know, as far as the creative went. And
Which back then was also underground.
totally, yeah.
Underground. So these guys.
yeah.
So we we're coming out of the late 1990s to the 2000s when the movement was starting to get really big.
Yeah.
And it was less underground, there was less warehouse parties, and it was starting to go a lot more mainstream. And yeah, so the name was formed, Hard Kandy, and we spent many days kind of sideways trying to work out the ideas, the creativity, and we went through sort of a Japanese,
Inspired.
influence, with Tokidoki and stuff back then. We're like, how can we gel it?
Hanukkah as well, was that?
Yeah, he definitely. And it was kind of formed. We kind of had the basis for the idea of this brand, and everyone loved it. And then we kind of put it all together and said, let's go with this. We think this is going to be really huge, because we saw the popularity when we were playing what we're doing, and it was still kind of new, because up to then it was all techno and hard trance.
Yeah.
So initially, Hard Kandy started as a very hard house club.
Yeah.
That was the big
It was an actual
explosion.
nightclub.
Yes.
Or is it just
so?
one?
Our home became Billboard, but we had our first 3 events on Queen Street. So when we launched and toyed with the idea, and then we were in discussions with 170 Russell, as it's known now, or Billboard.
Billboards, yeah.
And they loved it. Like, we want to move you guys here for the brand. And up until then, we had been working with Deluxe, which predominantly was kind of more techno, and it was a little bit different. And they felt that our ideas and what we're doing was going to make it grow a lot more. So, they took us on board, and it exploded. Like, we're blown away. Like, within like 2 months, we had like over 1,000 people like just banging down the door when you get in. Or loving
Friday
the music.
night.
Every Friday night.
Every Friday, 1,500 people were rammed at Billboard.
Yeah.
Anyway, and a lot, not like now. We actually ran from 10 o'clock till midday the next day. Crazy, right? You'd be like 7 or 8 in the morning, and I'm like, oh, we still got like 5 hours to go.
5 hours to go. I gotta sleep, man.
It was awesome. It was such a long night. I don't know how we did it, but it just, it really blew up. It was really exciting. And then, that was when we started looking at overseas in the UK, because we're very UK influenced to begin with. A lot of the artists, and started to bring them over. I think Karim was our very first international, which was super excited. Crazy French guy from the UK. And he just, from Do Not Bend, that was his record label. And he was huge. Everyone loved it.
Yeah.
And then I think our second act was SJ and Baby Doc from memory.
Yeah.
Who were a duo, and she sang, and he played and stuff, and that was all exciting, and then kind of evolved,
Yeah.
from there. But look, to be honest, like the explosion that happened was further than what we expected. We didn't realize there was going to be such passionate and excitement from the crowd, and the shuffle movement was really big. And
Yeah.
it was really, really exciting, and it was nice that we had, could run this 12-hour plus club on a Friday.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was amazing.
Was it just like the cops were just, I don't know, maybe the cops or the environment, the legal environment to operate venues like that? Were they just a lot looser back then in Melbourne?
Definitely. I think compared to even 10 years ago, the whole music scene in Melbourne and generally Australia was a lot more underground and unknown. So it wasn't policed the way it was now. It was a lot more free going. A lot of people had a lot more self-expression. Obviously, you look at the clothing, the rave culture, and people wearing fat pants, and beads were really popular. All the wrist
Kandy raver beads,
Yeah.
and LED rings.
Well, that was also the ethos back then, dress to express, not impress.
Yeah.
So the ravers back then were dressing colourfully, fluffy, that's how it was back then.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. If you wore high heels and a miniskirt, we're like, no, it's not the club for you.
Yeah, no,
you're
you
going to be
can't
wearing runners. You're here to dance and enjoy the music. That was
And
it.
talcum powder.
Oh God, talcum powder.
I still occasionally carry a little baby powder.
Oh, it was amazing. Yeah, the like international artists would come over and they're like, why does Melbourne have the best smelling clubs in the world? Like it smells amazing. And it's like, it's all baby powder. They couldn't work it out.
They're like, oh, someone's getting breastfed here.
Totally. And the 7-Eleven next door would keep running out of like talcum powder. They keep ordering in like quadruple amounts all the time. They're like, what's going on?
Can I offer you lotion instead, mate?
Yeah.
So you have this explosion of a brand, but before Hard Kandy, I mean, there was, you guys existed as a separate entity, obviously, from that. But were you DJing before that, or did you when did the DJing for you start, and how did that come into sort of effect?
So for me, it started. I left high school and worked as a busboy at Tok H back then, and met another DJ, Don, back then, who was the resident DJ. So I think in that era, most clubs had resident DJs who would do 4 or 5 nights, and just really was obviously exploring the electronic music scene, which is like acid house. I think back then, like techno was just starting, and started playing on the Wednesday night because it was so quiet. We had nothing to do. And he's like, just grab my records and start playing if you want. I was like, okay, awesome. And I felt I really enjoyed it. And I had a couple other mates as well that were really into the scene. And especially one of them, Rob, was hugely into techno. And he's like, gotta come to these clubs, techno. I went, I was blown away. I was hooked. I go, this music is phenomenal. Like one of the nights was Chasers, and I had Back of the Palace, and started just collecting vinyl.
Palace Theatre. And,
it was a night Pure run by Mark James back then. And
now run by Hardware, is it? Or Carl Cox is?
Well, Carl Cox was with Hardware, but back then it was Mark who was doing Back of the Palace from memory, as well as Chasers, and Richie was doing his Hardware parties, and that was the very birth in the 1990s.
Yeah.
And it just exploded. And obviously Mud with Heidi and Richard doing, the Every Picture parties a little bit later.
Oh, yeah. I went to the very last one.
Yeah, phenomenal. So there was this huge movement. We all loved it. So it kind of just stumbled into it and just had a huge passion and loved it, and felt that this was something maybe I wanted to do, which obviously my parents didn't. And my mum's like, why are you coming home at 7 a.m. every night? This is not normal.
Yeah, why do you look so haggard?
Why are you so tired? And to torture me, she'd make me go out and do gardening at like 9 a.m. like on 2 hours sleep as punishment. I'm like, thanks, gardening after being out all night. So yeah, it kind of just evolved from there, and just started DJing, obviously collecting records, and then started a Tuesday night at Inflation. And went under the wing of Martha, which everyone would know is a very successful promoter and club owner now, and taught us how to promote, how to give out flyers and print cards and do guest lists, and had the kind of, the 101 of training in marketing and promotions, and it's kind of spawned from there. And then that finished up, and then just continued to DJ and play. Then started to have enough residencies in different clubs as an artist to kind of survive off, but still was in hospitality, working gigs and waitering and doing bar. And
it's not a lucrative industry unless you're at the sort of at that level now where you're constantly doing shows, and even then with lockdown.
Totally. But the 1990s were really exciting. I have to say, I look back at that whole era really excitingly. Everything was really underground. It was all new. There was no social media platforms. You only found out about events with flyers.
Flyers, yeah.
You'd be excited. You go to the club and someone would give you a flyer and you're like, oh my God, this is awesome. Where is it? I need to go. And that was how you found out, through friends and picking up flyers and maybe your beat magazines. And it was a very low key, scene, which is kind of nice because you found you had to discover things. Yeah. And when you did discover and you went, it was like a reward to think, wow, I would have not have found this. It wasn't thrown at me. I just got kind of passed on. The underground community all shared it. And
the tide pulled you in.
Totally. And it was pretty, oh my God, looking back, the production was, some of it was pretty bad. A couple of strobe lights and a mirror ball, and they just threw up a few fluoro pictures, and it kind of evolved. It was raw music, and you spent half the night in the car park chatting to your mates, because that was a thing, and then maybe half the night in the club if you were lucky, or the warehouse. But it had such a good community. I would just meet so many people just, through that scene, because there was no social media. You had to engage and interact with culture, and that's how you met everyone. It was amazing, And then you go home and you had your week, and then we're excited for the following weekend and hoping to see
those same people
out again, because there was no
Facebook.
There wasn't no Facebook. Do you think, I guess this is more of like a philosophical question, because do you think it really relates to Facebook, or do you think that something was novel to you at the very beginning? Because that same sensation that you have, the first time I came to Melbourne, went to my first trance event, it was God's Kitchen in 2008, and I think it was all white as well. And that was my first time really experiencing a trance event coming from the Middle East, where we didn't have this level of openness, right? So everything was brand new. But then after 2 years, you're kind of doing the same thing over and over again. You saturate yourself with these events, and then you start to really, the novelty loses its edge. Then I found Bush Doofs. And that for me was just exactly what you're saying, and more than the trance scene. It just offered this, I think of that 2008 period, we were starting to get less of the dress to express and more of dress to impress, we called the muzzes and the whatever you want to call it. I don't like using that term, but that's what, that's what you get. That's what you were getting. Yeah. And so you missed this element that you used to get when you were partying early on in life. And for me, that the novelty is what's changed. Things are less novel. Do you think that's what's different now? Because I feel like there's a resurgence of this feeling. People are now gravitating towards, with Bush Doofs and transformational festivals, they're gravitating towards this because that is always the missing element. And when we start to go to that level where we're starting to commercialize, or where, I think commercialization is good because it standardizes things for the artists. Like we were saying this off podcast, but do you think that that's the thing? Like it's the novelty that wears off? Or do you think, no, it really was just a very different time?
Look, it was a different time.
Yeah.
And I'll be fair, it was very new. Like the 1990s, with any decade, whether it was the 70s with disco and the 60s rock, we were discovering a new era of music. And that was when electronic music was really blew up.
Yeah.
And putting people in warehouses and stuff, and technology was creating music that was really exciting, and fashion was getting exciting. So it was really new for that period, without a doubt.
Yeah.
And so I think that just, I don't know, it's like it was a special era because, you had Detroit house was exploding. You had the German scene.
Kraftwerk, things like that.
All that sort of stuff. Then the UK were fusing, bass music. And so all these countries were fusing these really underground sounds. But back then they were all fused into one night. So I would also find I would go to a club and I would hear bass music and Detroit, house mixed in with German trance and a whole just
mishmash.
Yeah.
Thrown in because we still wasn't so specialized. So we were like getting thrown a lot of exposure. I listened to early Prodigy songs, would go with, Joey Beltram from Detroit with Richie Hawtin stuff to then maybe going to Oliver Lieb stuff in Germany. And I was like, amazing that I could hear such a plethora of artists in the one night because it was all kind of just techno back then, or rave, it wasn't, they hadn't kind of worked out all the subgenres at this time. So to me, that was exciting because, there was no real flow. It was like, well, this is cool. We're just going to play this. And this is cool.
This just felt like one giant house party in a way.
Yeah, totally. And we just loved it all. You went from something really underground acidy to some vocal trance song to this. And so that was exciting. And then, as it developed, it became more specialized and people go, I just want a night that's just jungle music and then now it's just kind of like techno and now it's just trance and
it's a trance event or it's a techno event.
So it's
hard style,
hard style. And so you kind of it lusted a little bit because back then we were just all stumbling, just getting excited that it was all just so new. And I was like, what is all this stuff? And I think that's how it was all around the world. People just discovering it, playing with everything, going, what are we creating here?
Yeah. And then you ever think like as a DJ as well, that maybe the difference is because you had this diversity in sound and all these events, that the DJs were a lot more technically skilled as well. I mean, they were doing this on vinyl. And then, I mean, obviously, like I noticed that I feel like I come in this generation where I'm like right in the middle of this, where this becomes like really big and goes into stadiums. And then, I'm born in 1990, but I heard about warehouse raves even from the Middle East, and then when I came to Australia, my mate who, this guy called Eunice Kaz, he used to go to all your events and he used to go to all these, all the hard trance, hard style events and PhD and all that. And he told me, Melbourne's like this and this. But when I came here, I was like, where are these things? Where'd they go? Where'd they go? No. But then I started to go to more events and I was like, okay, well, it seems like most DJs here either like stick to a genre they know really well or one or two genres, and you don't get this DJ that can, do this, can do jungle, can do drum and bass, and for me anyways, I'd now try to do that in my sets, and to my detriment, that doesn't get me booked anyway because nobody knows like what I play. It's like, it's anything that's underground, but I don't care because I feel like we're representing, like at the end of the day, this is electronic music culture. It's the best way to describe it. And it is a phenomenon in a sense. And it's young.
Yeah.
Relatively young, Like if hip hop's only 50 years old, like this week, I think, like literally, then, how old is electronic?
Oh, right.
Yeah, hip hop, I think it just turned 50 this week, according to Snoop Dogg.
Yeah, wow.
There you go.
Yeah, like you think about that and like what's older? Where do you trace back the earlier the earlier days?
Yeah, it's interesting when you look at the history of music, and this is something going back to the brands. What we do is the generation of music is usually inspired through a subculture of movement with the people and the struggles they go through and trying to express themselves. So every generation that comes through attaches themselves to a genre that defines them. And when they do that, it becomes really important. So you'll find that most kids, if you've got brothers and sisters, they don't necessarily want the music that their brothers or sisters listen to. They might like it, but they want to find a music that represents them and their struggles their upbringing, and they'll gravitate
very well said.
Towards
Extremely
that.
well
and
said.
Totally, like you look at the movement with Nirvana and
The grunge
that era in
theme,
the 90s, the grunge theme, and
grunge
exploded.
theme,
At the core, that whole generation, it just represented their struggles and the movement, what they're going through, and they resonated with the crowd. And I think it's the same electronic music and all music, obviously, but it's the same in music now going through. People like, what represents me? And so our challenge, just Shide Shifter now, is how Kandy is we look at what movement is coming through in a community that we can make represent them.
Yeah.
Today, that we go, this is music for you that you can grow up and say, this was my era and this is my time, and this represents how I was growing up. Yeah.
And how I was feeling at the time.
Totally.
As well.
Because you Jim comes from like a full hard rock, metallic background, like totally different again. Yeah. So he sees it through that movement, and what he went through is totally different. But everyone had the same excitement and representation of what the music was, and it doesn't matter what the music was, but we all attached something.
We attached a meaning and a feeling.
Yeah, gave meaning to our lives that we needed to express.
And I mean, like you probably see the parallels in I think at its core, there always seems to be this air of rebellion. Like rock has that, right? Metal has that rebellious nature.
Yeah, definitely.
And I feel like a good question to go here is like, well, what did Hard Kandy represent when it first started? Like for you, what was the thing that got you
Party.
Do you think it was just that like pure hedonism maybe, or no, it was just, we just wanted to be free? Like what was
a whole bunch of things. Like I said, free, the color, the sounds, the happy smiles, the faces.
Something to do with the 90s, like that defined the 90s in that way, right?
Yeah. Drugs as well. Drugs, You
wanted just to live your other life at home and just go out and just have a really good time.
Yeah.
People will go, it made the Monday to Fridays or whatever you have to do with endurable.
Yeah.
Because you could go out and party all weekend and just like, I'm having the best time of my life. The next 5 days a week or whatever it is those weekends is what I live for.
Yeah.
Being with your mates and just rocking out and having a good time. You know, like,
I've spent a lot of important. I was going to say I spent a lot of university allowance.
We just do it 7 days a week now.
Well, that's the thing. Back then, from Thursday right through to Monday morning, there was something on. There was an event, a weekly club.
Yeah.
From Thursday night right through to Monday morning, and then people would go to university.
What changed?
I know. I remember I used to go out from Tuesdays to Sundays. I don't know. Actually, it was mapped out. I think it was like at one point, I don't recall, it was Tuesdays Climax, Wednesdays Filter, Thursdays Teriyaki.
I've heard of Teriyaki.
Yeah, Fridays Pure, Saturdays, I can't remember.
Back then would have been Dome.
Dome or somewhere. And Evolution was on Tuesdays as well, Sanction, that's right. And it's Sundays or something. By then you're like, oh my God, I'm exhausted. You got Monday off.
Yeah.
Like,
Monkey Sunday nights.
Yeah. Wow.
And in our era, when Kandy was running, it was great. Fridays you had a choice of Base Station, Hard Kandy, and
Centrifugal was on Friday nights.
Centrifugal and 3D. So you had 4 big nights running just on a Friday, and you had Bubble on Saturday. You could go all day then to PhD on Saturday day, then off to Revs on Sunday, and then out at Sunday night at
Circus
over the road. But literally, there was no problem. You could just keep going all weekend. Like there was plenty of options.
You just carried IV bags with you.
Sleep in your car.
So look, we've explored a little bit of, I guess, who you are and your influences, and I want to shift focus here a little bit with Jim, just so our viewers get to know Jim as well. Because Jim, you mentioned that you're the sort of behind the scenes. You're the Samwise to his Frodo. Is that how it works? So to use the Lord of the Rings analogy, But so how do you fit into this picture? Like where are your beginnings and how did you come into meeting Scott?
Well, as Scott said, I came more from a organic music background, bands.
Yep.
Rock music, metal. Throughout my whole kind of late 80s or right through 90s, I was at rock concerts, metal concerts, thrash metal. I was a musician as well myself, so I played different instruments, guitar, bass. I was playing in garage bands with my brother and friends, so I came through that kind of upbringing. Yeah, more so. And the clubs that we used to go to were kind of, Cat House was one of, at the Palace, early 90s.
Yeah.
There was Sarah Sands in Brunswick. So that's the other kind of venues that I used to go to rather than, all the raves.
The rave,
I was a punk rocker in the 80s. So.
I got street cred too.
I had a mohawk.
Well, I had long hair, back then. It's all gone now. So, I just came basically from that kind of a background.
Yeah.
So, but same, music was everything to me.
Yeah.
It was
It was a cultural expression of your identity
Yeah.
and your struggles,
Yeah,
right?
pretty much.
Yeah.
Exactly right. So, and then kind of got into or started doing courses. What am I going to do? The usual, getting into engineering and and back then I used to work in the mid-90s. I used to work on operas and musicals and stuff like that. I used to work for a couple of different companies. We used to set up the sound rigs. And then the guy that Scott mentioned before, Don Still, he used to have a multimedia advertising company, late 90s. And he basically grabbed me from working in a live scene and put me in a studio chair. And he's like,
as an engineer or just
as
like
an engineer, yeah. And because I was studying all that, I'd studied all that. But he's
never
like,
had the practical.
no, but he's like, this is techno, this is electronic music. Enjoy. So basically, that was pretty much it. So I went from going from metal bands and all that into electronic music, and that's where I met Scott, who was the art designer basically in the same company.
I was the art director. And quick
at
funny
the studio,
story,
the
we
music
used to
studio.
work with James Wan, who done
isn't he
the Saw
direct?
movies.
Yeah, okay,
Famous
yeah.
director. He worked there straight out of college. Back then,
James
we
Wan's
like
Australian?
had no idea, and we're like, this smart little Asian guy's like, yeah, I can do all this stuff, and he was really switched on, totally. And he was there for about a year.
Brilliant editor.
Brilliant. Told us about his script for Saw and stuff. Brilliant editor.
So
and
even way back then, he was
way back then,
Way back
and
then,
then he went off to
Wow.
America, and the rest is history, right? But yeah.
like, I knew that guy.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, totally. I should have paid more attention when I was working with him.
Well, you've all gone to do great things. It's
we
just,
were actually by that stage too busy partying, I think, and Kandy had started. And
yeah. So So you're in the mixing seat. You're the engineer now, and you get played techno, and I'm guessing you're like this one point. You go, "What the fuck is this?" Was it like this instant intrigue, or were you just like it grew on you, or how did that like sort of evolve?
Well, it's got a beat. There's a beat. There's a beat. There's a rhythm.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like music, like all music. There's a rhythm behind it, and that's what got me excited about it as well. And something new.
Yeah.
Something new.
And so you're in the studio, and you said you're the art designer, right? What's the name of the studio again? Just to
it was Creative Worlds.
Creative Worlds. So were they predominantly a music studio, or they just did multi-genre, or multimedia?
Multimedia, we did a lot of advertising. We did a lot of TV ads back then as well.
Did, Buell, we did the first Kia motor car release.
Yep.
Kia motor
We
car.
used to do Pioneer. All the Pioneer stuff back in the day, launched their whole DJ.
Side note, you drove in with a Kia, so I like that. They're great cars.
Moose Toys were customer of ours. Barter Toys. So we used to do a lot of TV. Sanity.
Yeah.
All the Sanity.
Oh,
ads.
Sandy, and they went bust, didn't they?
Dance Arena. I did the Dance Arena logo.
So you're a graphic designer.
Yeah, I've always been a designer on the side, so it's always been a passion. I did art.
Did you
school and
digitally
music,
as
but-
well, or no? You started as like drawing, like you said. Like
Well, at school it wasn't digital; it was just painting.
Painting.
But no, as soon as computers are out, always design. Just that's my side gig.
so, those are two things that marry really well together, like being an audio engineer and someone who's graphic, like a graphic designer or an art designer, because a lot of what you guys do, just to start an event, requires an understanding of sound, programming, for your live shows, design and stuff like that. And like half the struggle, like nowadays, is like as long as you got a flyer, you can start the event. You got a flyer, you got a location, you got a date, and a venue. It's like cool. But I generally, when I like coached someone a long time ago about how to start an event, it's like, if you got a graphic designer, like that's probably where you have to start. Book a venue. Do you know what you want to have? Do you know this? Do you know what you want to charge? So you've used that, obviously, experience, both of you, to marry that together into Hard Kandy, but you didn't start Hard Kandy together. You said that you had other business, but you said Ajax.
It was a couple of years before Jim came on board, more full time. So a couple
I
of
was
DJs.
lurking around. I
He was lurking.
I was
in the
lurking
background.
around.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But you knew each other because you worked
totally,
with each other. Yeah.
A few years before that, so it would have been 97, 98.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So Ajax and Crash were my original partners, and then we just kind of all moved on. But I was still passionate to stick with it because styles started changing, music genres are changing, and you know.
And you were DJing, so you were following trend.
Correct. So I'm always about. I'm very. Look, I love all music, so I'm really keen to constantly evolve, and we felt that it just had to keep evolving.
Yeah.
So that was something that obviously, you know, if you look at the timeline of Hard Candy, it's gone through quite a lot of styles of music. But hard dance, or I should say, harder styles has always been the central core.
Yeah, it's always fallen under that umbrella. Yeah. So, so obviously, 1997, you guys know each other. 1999, that's when you kind of got started. The gentlemen move on. Your business partners. How did you guys end up going? Well, hey, did you want to join this, or were you feeling like?
It just kind of fell into place. Actually, I can't remember any special thing. It's like Jim's brilliant with people and organizing, you know, spreadsheets, and knew a lot about the music in the scene. So it was just a good combination. We worked really well together, and it just kind of evolved over time. Yeah.
Yeah. So then, what is the role? Like, what do you guys actually? How do you split the workload? You know, say you've got an event coming up. I think next weekend. I think it is. Is it?
Next Friday night.
Next Friday.
Next Friday
For
night,
most of our viewers, this will probably come out after your gig, but just
yes,
which sucks, you know. But
the 26th.
The 26th of November.
Yes.
I'm sure there'll be other future events, but let's just use a current day example of how you guys work that. Like what angles you guys play.
Generally all the artwork and the artist management stuff. So I'll be focusing on the artist, the venue, and then the design.
Mm-hmm. When you say design, like graphics or
all
the
the graphic design, the
well?
multimedia stuff. And then 50% of it I pass on to Jim, who will do all the social media. So he manages our Facebook and social media platforms, manages the team, all our promoters, and the whole team, a lot of the spreadsheets and stuff as well.
Ticketing,
all the ticketing.
That kind of stuff.
So we kind of work out between us what we need to do. But generally, you know, to be like, okay, who's the artist? What are we doing? What's the venue? And what's the look of the event? And I'll kind of like structure that and then handball it to Jim. And he's like, okay, he'll do all the back end stuff, obviously managing the whole team and organizing it all and
operations as well.
Operations
as well.
Yeah.
Who's working where, what positions, who do we need? And if everything in between, we're like, well, do you want to do that? Do I need to do that? And then handball other stuff to other people involved. Yeah.
And we do have a really good team around us as well. Our operations team.
Can we go into that a little bit? Like, what's sort of how many guys you know? Because you're a big operation when you do.
Mostly. Look, we've got a really good core team from front door guys, merchandise people, the artist services,
moderators, merch team. You know, over the years, it's always evolved and changes.
Yeah, you headhunt in that sense. You get the best.
Yeah, and then we'll expand it. So some people are part-time, some people have more positions that are, done. But then when we do our big festivals, then obviously we outsource and we hire other companies to get involved to manage certain areas.
Yeah. So would you say you guys are like pretty much full-time Hard Candy? I know you said you used to manage a restaurant before lockdown. So has this been a side project that you guys put a lot of time constantly, or is this something that at one point you were able to wake up every day and go, okay, I go to the office and do Hard Candy? Like, has it been sustainable over the years to do this that way?
Mostly. Yeah. There's only a few years in there where things were a bit of a lull. Yeah. And felt like need to do other things, whether it was through the scene not being strong, bad investments, whatever, and you found that I need to do something on the side, just to keep the company going, and then you kind of ride the wave, Yeah. Because not every show's a hit. Anyone will tell you, some shows you do get them wrong. You put something really big on, no one goes. You're like, oh, okay, well, clearly that didn't work. So
and I've worked on a lot of other shows as well.
Yeah.
A lot of art, like Rainbow Serpent.
12 years, you said.
12 years. I've worked on Sexpo as well, tours around Australia for 3 or 4 years. World Vegan Festival as well. I manage that as well. So I've been working for that for the last 7 years or something like that. A whole bunch of other stuff as well. So
He's a much broader range than me. I'm just electronic music, but he's been all over.
Well, that's the rock.
All of the other stuff. Yeah.
Yeah, the lifestyle.
Yes,
lifestyle, man.
Yeah.
So one thing I guess this is a great segue, or not a segue, we'll go back into this, is you put on something big and no one shows up. It's a big hit. You've got to deal with, there's a lot of emotions that, come into this. Like, I guess I want to sort of uncover or unpack what you felt in that moment, and generally how you keep on recovering from things like that. Because I mentioned to you earlier, like I had maybe one fail, and I just was like, it just floored me, But the it's like that famous Rocky quote. It was like, well, how hard you get hit, it's about how hard you get hit and keep. Yeah. With it. do you know that? You remember that part of the movie? So this is, I think, a testament to why Hard Kandy has endured all these years. But in your words, both your words, like, how did you, come back from things like that?
Well, you just you learn. So I think you always like, okay, what did we miss? What did we get wrong? And often it's not because maybe we had not a great event. Maybe like 3 other festivals at the last minute just dumped their shows at the same time. And we went, oh my God, we can't compete. And that's when you kind of learn, okay, maybe we need to communicate with a lot of other companies and find out who's doing what when and navigate it more smartly, rather than being caught off guard and going, we released something what we thought was big, but then we had to compete with 8 other concerts or festivals, And but look, I think we we chat about it and just go, okay, how do we fix this? So I'll just sort of be smarter about it and just push on and go, it is what it is, No one has a 100% hit rate all the time, but we've done very well.
There's going to be fails.
There's always fails, and you just learn from them.
You learn. Yeah, exactly. You learn from them. Yeah, that's it.
And you come back stronger. You don't. You might be a little bit upset, and you go, well, lost less money, or whatever. But you just go, okay, how do we, just be a bit smarter in business, like any business is,
Yeah. Well, this is more, I guess, a financially motivated question, but it's like that's the biggest loss, right? Like you've lost financially a lot, and as an outfit that doesn't have, I don't know if you guys have investors. We don't have to go into that, but that's the part that you really have to recover, because you've spent a lot of money, and it's not just passion. It is you've got to be logical in the way that you go about this, but. That's the other thing. It's like, well, let's say you make a huge financial loss on this. For the promoters that want to get to that level, like how would you recover from that? Would you try to, would you just get on the hustle train and do the side hustle thing? Like this is where I'm interested how these companies keep rolling it. Is it just you got like a line of credit? Because
look, it's obviously harder when you're starting out, because if you start out and you fail, well, your track record's not so good. When you've been around for a while, you obviously know you got to have, number one rule is they always say, don't put an event on if you can't afford to lose all your money.
Yeah.
You got to be prepared to lose that. And like that, that's important. We always have to pay suppliers, your production people, and everyone involved is number one. If you're not prepared to lose, then you shouldn't do it. You got to make sure you got the backing and structures in place to
you put the financial contingencies in place.
Because it does have a snowball effect. Other people work so hard, and we all depend on each other. So
and this is a great segue, because we know someone in the scene. I want to get into that. Is we know someone in the scene whose marketing genius has always been applauded, and he's one of the pioneers of, I guess, bush doofs, but has had that sort of issue in the past. I don't want to go about people not getting paid, but everything's interconnected. Everything's interdependent. And you guys, we're talking about Spiro from Earthcore, but, you guys have been involved with him as well. Never been.
I've known Spiro for years. Because I used to DJ for all his shows. I don't think I ever got paid, but that's all right. No. Look, I love the guy to pieces. I thought
It's a love and hate relationship.
Yeah, he was very passionate. Did a lot for the scene. Did Earthcore. It did wonders for
Australia.
For Australia and Victoria. He brought out great acts. He put on great parties. He was crazy, and I felt like knowing him more on the side of I just booked me as a DJ and I played. So for me, it was kind of fun. I just awesome, get to play Earthcore. I loved it.
Yeah.
So I went and played and ran around kind of crazy with my friends. It was all good because that was the only level I was at. So I didn't see too much of the the other crazy stuff, but look, I just know he was passionate and he tried. He gave it his 110%.
Yeah.
So
that's
good on him. Like he gave it his all.
And he had failures too. He had the failures.
Yeah. And he's one of the great, he came back from the dead like at least 3-4 times, and sadly not this last time.
Yeah.
Rest his soul. But I think you got to applaud the guy for that, for being able to. I think they had the big fail like 2008 maybe, that was a big sort of shambles, but then he came back really strong.
Is that when Jason sunk his boat? No. I have so many funny stories from Earthcore. I remember, just a sidetrack, a mate of mine, he's like, it was really cold. He's like, can I borrow your jacket? He had this bright orange jacket. And I'm like, can I borrow it? He goes, whatever you do, just make sure nothing happens. So I'm like, what could possibly go wrong? So I'm like running around very drunk and everything else. Which I go to, bit off chops. And I obviously I was conscious in the bush. I had a cigarette. I'm like, well, I don't want to put it on the ground. I'm just going to put it in my jacket. So I put the cigarette in my jacket. Next thing I'm walking along and everyone's screaming, running. I'm like, God, Scott, you're on fire, you're on fire. And I look down, an entire jacket is burning on fire.
Yeah.
And I'm like, oh my God, So I put it all out.
Alert.
I got back to my mate and he looks at me, he's like, what the hell? What have you done to my jacket? And he looks at this massive, 30-centimeter hole burned through the entire jacket. And I was like, I'm kind of sorry about that. And he goes, of all the things I thought could go wrong, that was not one of them. I still remember this day. It was quite funny.
Right, that's a pretty funny story. I don't know how you missed that. Like, hey, dude, you're on fire.
Yeah, I know, right? I was pretty cooked.
Pretty cooked.
Pretty good. It was fun. No, I look back.
Literally was cooked.
Yeah, I was cooked. And everyone's like, dude, what have you done to his jacket? You can have it back now.
Someone should frame that jacket. You should go back.
I think it was it was an eco brand back then with the rhino. Or, I don't know what.
Yeah. So, so you guys, you obviously you run hard trance events and hard dance or anything that comes under that umbrella, right?
Hard music.
Hard, just
I say hard music now.
Hardcore, baby. You guys have booked the likes of Scott Project, EOG by Hanukkah, which I was going to ask if he ever smashed decks at one of your gigs. Do you know that? You know the whole thing. Sensation Black. I think he just took a deck and SL.
No, you'd remember because you had to organise the gear gym for Lab 4 when they wanted to smash up the keyboards. You could tell them about that.
Yeah, Lab 4.
What is Lab 4? Is that a gig?
Another UK act.
Yeah.
But I was going to say, even donors, the organ donors were very...
Oh, yeah, they were awesome. They were they're the ones that scratch and
they were very wild on stage as well.
Yeah.
Technically brilliant. Yeah, the donors.
I think I saw them on one of the pharmacy events.
The donors were technically brilliant. Were they both great scratches? One of them.
No. One of them was. Scott was more into the electronic stuff. He had the sampler, and it was Matt Donor who did the scratching.
Yeah. Brilliant, technically brilliant guys.
Yeah.
So.
And then Lab 4 wanted all this. We had to buy the keyboards because he wanted to smash them up on stage.
So you had to buy brand new keyboards?
No, we secondhand. And it just he just wanted to bust them up.
Just busted ones. Busted ones. No, you're not going to get...
Yeah, you're like, I'm not hiring them.
No.
I just wanted to break them up. Like, we're not getting them back.
No. We hired, when we toured, Dr. Willis.
Yeah.
Toured
Absolute legend.
Yeah, Mark Sherry and
Fuck yeah.
what were the rest of the boys?
Public domain.
Public Domain. Yeah. Went on tour
Place
with
in
them.
a place, London.
Yeah, went on tour with them around Australia for a couple of years. And they hired a lot of our equipment from the studio. And Qantas lost a couple of the keyboards as well. Yeah, but that was actually 2009. I was I think the first time Q Dance was on DEF CON as well.
Yeah.
Was happening.
Q Dance never really, like, they opened up offices in like Sydney, I think, and that, but they never really, none of those Dutch companies like ID&T or that, they never really flew. They did for a few years, didn't they? But they never really cemented themselves properly, aside from DEF CON. But you know,
well, DEF CON ran for 10 years.
It was the one brand that seemed to really cement itself in Australia for sure. Yeah,
because they seem to have like put themselves out as the mecca of hard dance. You know what I mean? And obviously, I guess you guys would have been heavily involved in that as well. Like they would have had to go through, I guess, all the different promoters. How else would they have been able to?
Look, we were more like just selling tickets and more on the sidelines. A lot of the bigger companies are pretty self-contained. They just keep to themselves and do their own thing. Because they're at such a big scale, it's kind of, they just do their own thing. And come in like, we're just running our party, and they try and engage a lot of the local promoters. And
do they book locals though? Do they support local acts?
They do, not as much as I would have liked to have seen.
Yeah.
To be fair, I feel like, a lot of it was their own headline acts because they also own the agencies and all the artists that they book.
Smart.
Yeah.
It's just monopolizing basically.
Totally.
Yeah. And like it's strange because here you guys are a local outfit that's been doing it for years, and you do sell events and sell out events and have great shows at Festival Hall and all these massive locations. In comes a foreign company, lots of resources, owns the agency, and comes in and can put on a bigger event. But funnily enough, who's still here?
Yeah, well,
you know what I mean? Like it's interesting. I wonder whether they can be more inclusive, and maybe that's why they don't progress. I don't know. What do you think? I was just speculating here. Do you think it's just a costly operation for them?
I think it comes down to a number of the main reason why in the end they did kind of
tank or
mainly because of what happened with I think there was a few deaths, overdoses. There were a few deaths, and I think
in Sydney and
the New South Wales government pretty much said enough is enough. And I don't think they came back after that last one, which was, I believe, their 10th anniversary. I believe, which was about 3 or 4 years ago. So,
I think that maybe even earlier than that. I think there was another death, and that sort of
there have been a few. There have been a few, which is unfortunate. But yeah.
And it seems to have started that narrative, didn't it? The whole death the whole dance music culture should be restricted and all that. Like New South Wales rules for that over the last few years has always been pretty strict compared to Victoria.
Well, it's been going on for a long time.
Before that,
it's been going on for a long time. I mean, even us, we were kind of involved on the side. On a
like a political level, or
well, I'm going to talk about Festival Hall. What's it called? Herald Sun.
Oh,
did you guys get? You had a death at your event?
No, it had nothing, absolutely nothing to do with us. But it was another.
I laugh about it now, but I didn't back then.
It was actually another kind of
promoter.
No, it was actually a Q Dance event at Festival Hall.
Yeah.
And this would have been going 2009, I believe.
Yeah, they labelled it wrong. The reporter didn't do it.
There were problems.
They didn't do their research,
There were problems at this at Festival Hall. And it was actually one of the last shows hardstyle was ever played at Festival Hall because of this incident. And there were dozens of overdoses, transportations, blah, blah, blah.
Do we still have that newspaper?
Yeah.
Yeah, so they put out...
Was this W&W playing at the show?
No, it was they did a track. Trying to recall who the artist
So
was.
basically, what happened is they put Hard Kandy on the front page of the Herald Sun.
What?
Saying overdoses, yeah.
They called the event on the front page of the Herald Sun Hard Kandy.
Hard Kandy, mass overdose. This was 2 days before our event even happened, so we got in litigation with the Herald Sun.
Did you
and our
guys
event
win?
didn't happen, and we said, "What is going on here?" And they're like, "Oh, yeah, there's someone screwed up, put the wrong event on."
Did they
I'm
try
like,
to make it right at least?
Well, they did. We got a
Settlement.
well, I don't know. Apparently, I can't talk about it because I had to sign off a thing. But
the
we did get
disclosure.
compensation, but it wasn't much in comparison. It was, you got free ads and stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but we lost our event. And it was like, you tainted the brand. It was, so I didn't have to pay for all the lawyers, which they had to pay for. It was, it was pretty frustrating.
And that's, we spoke about this as well, like before the show, is that you sometimes struggle because of this, because, hard dance is often associated, unfortunately, with the harder aspects of drug taking, and which is contradictory. Music is hard, but the people are nice. That's what it's always been about, is this level of respect, like we said earlier in the show, that,
Look, it was. Look, I mean, with that incident, that the festival hall incident, it was Juice, GHB.
Yeah.
And during that era, especially here in Victoria, Melbourne, we had a lot of problems.
Yeah.
A lot of problems for about 5 or 6 years with GHB and all the rest of it. So, yeah,
Yeah, it went through a tough time.
It went through a very hard time.
And sadly, it got pigeonholed by the media, and they found something that could sensationalize their
sales.
Sales and media, and they focused on it. And I'm like, we're not hearing out. We don't see the Melbourne Cup get the same kind of bad exposure. It's about drunk people and this and that. But they just continue like nothing's wrong. And as soon as it's dance music, it's like, oh, dance music is bad. And, and then they think it's all the same, all the genres are the same. And in some venues where the government is sort of involved will get less media coverage than others. It's very unfair. And relating one event to another in style music should not put it all in the same bag. It's really sad, If something happens in New South Wales, it shouldn't affect what happens in Victoria. At the end of the day, like we put huge measures in place
to prevent
anything happening, from safety education to
harm reduction,
medical harm reduction. We do it all. I'm like, what else can we do? Like
what else do you want?
Above and beyond what you even ask, and we work really hard, and then we're like paying the price. It's tough.
You're paying the price for their inability to create, I guess, a system that is more inclusive rather than vilifying drug users.
Exactly.
And and then we get people who do drugs and they come from sources that are questionable, as opposed to being able to test and do all these things, and I guess this is a fascinating topic, especially seeing as, we have got GHB, but we've also got harm reduction. And so one thing I kind of, two of these, I want to break this down into two sections here. So both of you as promoters, things are running the way that they're running. GHB slowly gets introduced. When did you guys sort of notice that sort of coming into effect? Like it probably crept, how did that happen? I can't make the assumption. So in your experience with it, like with people taking it at your events or at the events in general, when did you start to notice that this was becoming a problem? And, obviously when
it was definitely mid kind of 2000s, mid to late 2000s, 2006, 2007. It was getting really really bad across the scene, the entire industry. And it was just an unfortunate time that GHB was
I think it was cheap. It was easy to get.
It made you high.
It's kind of new. So I think it was between security and club and the medics bringing our attention to it. And then we had to take really hardline policies that, like, if you're caught, you're out. Like, you know, as we've always had a stance, but we actually took it to
Quite
really
literally.
just say, try and stamp it out. I think we even had a lot of meetings with a lot of the other clubs, a lot of the promoters, and try to combine forces and put out good social awareness with a lot of stuff in the clubs with signage, dance-wise as well, education.
I was part of Dancewise at one point.
Anything we could
Or
do
rave
to
save back then. Rave
It was
save.
called Rave Safe. That's
Yeah.
correct. Yeah.
felt like that was a particular element that was problematic that we needed to target, that was dangerous, causing a lot of problems, and just to get more awareness. I think we kind of did well for a while with that battle. I think it definitely toned down
Yeah.
because the margin of error in taking something like GHB was so small, it became super high risk. It was like, you know, because if you combine, I believe alcohol and
yeah.
GHB, it was really bad, and people
blowouts,
took it and go, "Oh, I didn't do anything," so they took more, and then it was all over. And like,
No, I don't feel anything. I'll have a drink, you know.
and it was like, no, it was just not good, and it's not good for the club because no one could buy alcohol for the club sales.
So yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, so I'm just joking there, but
Yeah.
you know what I mean? Like, it was not good. Like, at the end of the day, we want people to have a really good time, but safe.
Yeah.
Want them to go home in, you know,
Not in body
to their
bags,
family,
but
totally, like,
in a taxi.
really important. We understand that there's an element to saying it always be there, and it is in every culture. And
It's part of the culture.
Dance music, it's everywhere. Like,
Yeah. It's just associated with electronic music, I think, because this culture seems to be like I always think of our electronic music is an extension of what Woodstock was. You know, it really feels like it. Like, you know, we're just digital hippies.
soon to be virtual reality hippies.
Yeah, soon to be virtual metaverse hippies.
Dancing the metaverse.
Yeah, little Scott Alert and Jim Axiotis avatars, just a beard and glasses and stuff.
Oh, the metaverse and hard candy's coming for you.
Yeah. I do feel like it's this element that you know, like in obviously the 70s hippies culture, like acid was the big thing, you know. It just happened to be that acid didn't really kill anyone.
No.
Really, you know. It might have driven a few people cray, but
Yeah.
you know, or expanded consciousness to a level that you know, that we have great artists like Alex and Alison Gray and, you know, so on and so forth. It does seem inherent to our, you know, to our culture, but it doesn't define us. I think it's the you know, I think you said it before, it's the music represents our struggles, and you know, so well put, by the way.
Thanks.
I'm gonna chop that up. That's definitely going in the shorts, you know. I was like, mind blown.
Yeah. Well, you go back to the Amazons with ayahuasca and going through your tribe and having a spiritual journey and the awakening of yourself. So I think, you know, human beings throughout history have had trials through using what the planet has offered through different psychedelics and plants to discover themselves and relating back to nature and how we connect with it. So on some level, we're always going to be experimenting in some shape or form. Some are going to do it with music, some will do it with art. It blends in different types of ways, but it's always inherent that we like to explore the mind and our social selves to see what else is out there. You know,
But authorities will always suppress it.
Yeah.
Or try to suppress it.
Yeah.
That's it at the end of the day.
Because the expansion of conscious threatens, you know,
Exactly.
any establishment because it
Totally
asks
does.
questions, you know.
Exactly.
because you're giving total freedom and exploration of the mind, which they don't want.
Yeah. And that's something you've always had to hedge between it, because you are the hosts, you know, you're hosting these ideas and you're like giving other people a platform, not just the DJs, but also the viewers. But then you've had to hedge that against, you know, a government and a regulation and a changing industry with changing rules, changing, you know, all this. You've made it work. I mean, sort of what were the limitations that you guys had to face with that? Like, you know, did you guys ever had like flack from the government? Like, aside from...
Yeah, also. We're, like you would know, like we're constantly conversing with police, council, medical, fire department, security, constantly engaging in meetings and how we put on safe, events that, are good for the community, that ticks all the boxes for them and they're happy with. And but they're always pushing the bar posts, obviously, especially with the user pay system now. It's like,
So what is that?
so they introduced something called a user pay system where the police will be basically, well, we're going to have dogs at your event and you have to pay for them. So here's our invoice for X amount and you pay for it. And I'm like, what?
I don't want them here.
We don't want them. They go, well, it doesn't matter. You've got them and you pay for it. And it's like another expense. Like they might tell you 4 days before an event or
a couple of weeks.
Or a couple of weeks.
How much are we talking? Because I've heard about things like this being astronomical and like,
This is
fucking
10,
bullshit.
20,000 up. Yeah.
That's fucking
For sure.
bullshit, man.
So
it's is there any movement to fight that?
No.
Fucking hell.
No, we have little room to move.
Does every major event have to deal with this?
Yeah. This is across, and this is why we're like, but we're doing everything well. We put on more medics. We're implementing tighter security. We're doing everything, and they feel, no, we need to do this. And inherently it has its own problems, as research is showing that people panic and they take all their drugs at once and they do other things, which then causes more problems.
And then that reflects back on you.
Yeah.
It's like, oh, you're the scene, and it's just, come on, man.
So that in itself is not a good solution.
Has there ever been a consortium of promoters that have come together and said, hey, we need to pool some resources and get a legal team to fight this because this is hurting us financially, or do you just have to put up with the man?
Not really to fight it, but I know there have been for a while there with Medic, St. John's, and different promoters trying to adapt, what they're doing overseas.
I need to go to the loo. I'll be straight back, everyone.
Actually, I was going to say, we'll continue. You go to the toilet. Let's have a break and let's hold that thought because I actually need to go.
Okay, that's perfect.
Yeah.
Toilet break, people.
Yeah, we're gonna have a toilet break.
That's what happens when you drink beers at a podcast.
Yeah, and we're gonna get more beers. More beers.
More beers. More beers.
More beers. We're gonna get more beers.
As Dan Andrews said, get on the beers.
Get on. We'll get back to the subject of litigation with that. So
don't go nowhere.
We'll be back. We're back, ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen, we are back. We're back from our sponsors, non-existent sponsors. Please sponsor me. I wish. That's definitely an avenue that I would like to have moving forward. BBC. So we were on this hot topic of, drug usage at festivals, pill testing, and how promoters have to deal with what was that thing? The bill that cops give you. You said I forgot it's the name.
Oh, it's called a user pay.
User pay, where the cops obviously foot you with a bill for for policing your dance floors, for people selling or using drugs when you can police things yourself and have put all the contingencies in place. Now I asked the question earlier about whether promoters are getting together to fight this, and Jim, you were on the cusp of answering that before both my bladder and yours got exploded, or was on the verge of explosion.
Thanks to our sponsor,
Cooper's Green.
Cooper's Green, thank you.
Yeah. For those that don't know, we have a table tennis court that is literally littered with Cooper's Green. Post this text to my housemate Nacho. So we come down and test your might at the Heidelberg Field of Dreams.
You need to contact him.
He needs a nacho suit.
You never know. Hey, do you guys know anyone? As long as they don't ask me to change the colors to green.
This works. Black.
Actually, it could be cool.
I mean, the green lighting. I mean, moving forward, that could be a thing. You could change the color scheme for every,
So
sponsor.
obviously, the hot topic at the moment is pill testing, and all the promoters in the dance industry and all industries in general are proactive and for it. Anything that's minimalizing the risk that's going to be, that people are exposed to is a good thing. And so people need to get educated, need to to know what's going on in the substances they're taking. And so it's proven most effective in other countries we just spoke about earlier, and Portugal and other countries that have.
Since 88.
What is since 80?
They've had pill testing.
Since
pill
1988.
testing and decriminalized.
How long has pills been around?
A long time.
Like ecstasy, how long has that been around? I thought it was just like
disco movement. I don't know. Since Duran Duran. Yeah, so
we're far behind. We are very, very far behind the rest of the planet.
Yeah, due to conservatism. That's what you said it before, Scott.
Yeah, well, we are so conservative here. I feel like, we're run by a lot of schmucks who have really had a touch with the generation of people coming through, and it'll be exciting times once this generation gets to represent previous generations with the knowledge that they've gained up growing and a bit more open-minded to what's going on. It's really needed. And we're stuck in stigmas and bubble wrapping our whole community and trying to keep them safe. Yeah. And I think we need to be open-minded and have more discussion, more open communication, take on more worldly results and look at what's available. But, I think we just totally need to just, as I said, if we educate through trial and error and different systems and at least give them the go with the results, it'll be great. But whereas a lot of things are shut down before it's even go. You look at America with marijuana, it's almost legal in most of the states now. I've been in the States for 10 years.
Yeah.
And they're now, opening up and legalizing it. Something here which will probably happen in 10 years. But we're very slow to
adapt. Is adapt a word? Or adopt.
Adopt.
Yeah. With an O.
Yeah. Adopt.
And I look at the proven health benefits, through CBD oil and different things that are doing amazing things through different people who have chronic pain and I remember my dog was really ill and sick and was prescribed CBD oil to take away the pain and help her through the last year of her life. And,
it worked.
It made a big difference,
Yeah, it eased her.
Eased her. And I'm like, why are we not allowed to have the choice to try these things, for a pet? Oh my God, this is crazy.
That is grown out there in nature.
Yeah.
Totally. This planet.
It's on this planet.
And it's same with, going sideways here, it's like DMT that opens up your mind and different substances that are there to explore oneself. And you look at famous pioneering people from Steve Jobs to who's the Windows guy?
Bill Gates?
Bill Gates, even they've had their one or two experiences and it's opened their minds and shown different things. And I know you go to the higher spirituality of people like Alex Gray and Allison and who are big advocates into
psychedelics,
connectivity to yourself and the planet. And you can do it responsibly. Yeah. And really broaden your view and who you're becoming. It's not about just going out and partying and getting stupid. And so there's different realms of this to explore.
Trauma has such a big part of this equation that it guides people's mindset and outlook on a lot of things. And when people are stuck in that trauma, they make decisions based on fear rather than love, right? And then you have this breakthrough experience with DMT, psychedelics, and you shed aspects of your skin. I'm not saying that is always happens. I mean, I for one have had a negative result with, I don't want to say result, but a negative experience with psychedelics. But at the same time, I've also had one great experience at Rainbow where I saw Spongle and I could have had a bad trip, but I ended up having one of the best trips of my life, and I shed a lot of skin and stuff like that. And that's the thing, it's like shedding baggage and expanding your consciousness. I think even now I reflect back on that, I go, even if that was a negative experience or I view that as a negative or traumatic experience, trauma builds strength. You know what I mean? Like not straight away, it takes you down a path, but once you come clear of that, you have this renewed outlook on life, and it's still a great result regardless of what that experience was. And it's like
so why not allow the average person to experience that without the fear?
I think human nature human
It's
nature,
like
but also
prohibition all over again.
yeah, it is. It is.
In the early 1900s with alcohol, which is probably worse than anything else if you really look at it,
And it's that fear that's causing all the problems. It's let people experience and
Let people make their own mistakes.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
You do that for your kid, right?
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, we no longer have the what do you call it, the choice as in the Matrix.
Yeah.
We need to have the illusion of choice. They give us the illusion of choice, but we don't have it. But I think we're sadly, some people can be irresponsible and can be trusted, but I think the majority should be allowed the choice and in a safe environment, given some options to explore whatever they need to explore in whatever realm. But, let us have the chance and then look at scientific data and give the scientists the chance to
Uncover
and explore and do the research they need to. And then we'll really open worlds.
I think like, I'm sure you've heard of MAPS, the institution called MAPS. I forgot what it stands for. I don't know if it's Canadian or American, but they are experimenting with low dose forms of MDMA, and I think maybe some other class, what they consider class A drugs, and use it for therapy and stuff like that. And I mean, I'm sure you guys already know. Yeah, there's been great results.
Microdosing as well with acid.
Microdosing. Yeah, a few friends I know have already started doing that, like with just mushrooms, for example. And it's amazing. They've always grown up being told they had some form of autism or ADHD or whatever it is that they've had, and this thing has completely helped them. Help them get past some of these insecurities. I mean, I had one friend who told me that the microdosing mushrooms saved his life. They saved him from suicidal depression. And I think that's a big statement to be said. And a lot of people seem to say like that. It's it's a thin line, isn't it? Or, a slipping point.
We hear that as well. When people go to Hard Kandy, they go, Hard Kandy saved our lives. The fact we could go out and dance and party and it was enjoyable. Even straight, it was like...
And escape.
Even in itself, music and festivals and a scene are their own form of escaping the world to express themselves.
It's because of... It's going back to this is conservatism.
Yeah.
We grow up in either a conservative environment where we're not told how to express ourselves, or not necessarily told, but we're not taught, how to express ourselves. And so we grow up being these, I guess, insecure people. And, suddenly, I mean, like, I know I'm an insecure person, but that's how I ended up in dance music and why I became a DJ or that, because it was a way for me to either put on a mask for a period of time. It was putting on a mask and being someone else and enjoying being that. And then eventually that person just became one, But dance music does that. It allows you to do that.
I actually think we are taught to express ourselves, but we are also controlled.
Can you elaborate on that?
And limited to what we can, do eventually.
Yeah.
Like with the use of,
psychedelics.
Yeah. So I do believe that we are allowed to express and be creative, but we are also controlled and limited to what we can do.
I think, you say that like element of control. Like if you look at the 80s, I think a big part of that is the political systems that are in place have a huge impact on our societal, I guess, forms of expression, It was in Berlin before the wall, they were like the strict Soviet, and then from that you got the punk sort of.
Yeah, 80s were tough because America was going out of the war with Vietnam. They had the whole Nixon.
Yeah, and a conservative government.
It was conservative. They were very depressed. It was a very turbulent time in the world back then, and then everyone started to break free from what was kind of a pretty doom and gloom time in the economy and underworld. And then I think, as you said, the Great Wall of Berlin was a huge monumental moment that they break free. And then I think independence and companies in America and yuppies started to explode, and that became its own movement. And it was like they were starting to break through self-expression, excitement. And obviously that was also when technology was kind of a breakthrough, with electronics. We had Walkmans and mobile phones started to pop up. So it was definitely a big shift around the planet, which was kind of going through a dark period for the last 40 years, And then it started to explode that, maybe everything's going to be okay.
Yeah. Well, it's post-World War II.
And that led on to the 90s. It was like, yay.
Yeah.
We have raves and warehouses and parties.
That was going to be my next sort of leading point, is that, you had the 90s, which really was the complete opposite of this. It's interesting that we talk about this because I was listening to this podcast with Quentin Tarantino, and he was actually talking about this, how film directing changed a lot throughout from the 70s to the 80s. And when he came along, especially in the mid-90s with Reservoir Dogs, movies were very conservative, like the level of violence that you had in them, the swearing, what you could say. Like it was very, what's the word? Not restricted, but like whatever the fuck the word we can use to describe it. Let's just say conservative for the sake of the argument. But the style was very conservative. And then he comes along and he does Reservoir Dogs, and then he follows up with Pulp Fiction and Jackie Brown and all these movies, and that changed the way film was. But that was one of those key moments in the 90s that also with, he was to movies what electronic music is for the 90s.
Yeah,
I think what I'm trying to say here is that it's like it was
genre breaking.
It was genre breaking, yeah. And now what's interesting is what seemed to be this underground electronic culture, the mainstream is now trying to capitalize on it. And it's for me, what annoys me a lot is this overtly commercialization. I'm not talking about selling out big events, because I think that's great. I'm talking about using our subgenres to make really bad versions of it, like, or not the word selling out, because I respect artists, like, for example, let's take Tiesto, I respect that he went and did this mainstream thing, because at the end of the day, it's like, it's your livelihood.
Yeah.
And, you want an exit strategy, you want a retirement plan, if that's going to make you millions. Yes, fuck yeah. But still, there's this element of our, I guess, culture that I wonder, is that lost from this commercialization? Like through your experience being in the game for so long, do you think that we have lost our way in a sense? Or no, we've just evolved and gone more underground? Where do you guys see that?
I don't think so.
No?
No, I think
I kind of
like to use the word educate.
Yeah.
Like you brought up the whole Tiesto thing, It's educating people with kind of a genre of music or a style. And especially right now where we have kind of lost 2 years, the last 2 years. And we're actually talking about this today, about, people who are going out right now. There's 2 generations of 18-year-olds who have left school, who are going out into the world and experiencing events for the first time. So I think it's a great way to educate.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think with any mainstream movement, there's always an underground breakthrough
component.
Always. And if you don't know about it, because it's underground. So whenever you have your mainstream, there will forever be another movement, and you can't dictate it by size or what's going on. It'll be underground. It'll be their thing that represents them,
I guess I'm looking at it sometimes with the corporate.
It's big business now. The music industry as well as gaming and stuff. It's big business. It's not like it was back in the day. Merchandise is a big thing. The amount of people going, the artists, what they're doing, the scale of production is and next level. It's no longer, just like an artist kind of putting them in. It's about the production value, the stage, what they're doing. It becomes a package.
Yeah.
Opposed to maybe someone just having a little bit of raw talent in some small club, which was groundbreaking. Now it's like a big thing. It's just the way it's evolved, like any industry. And through that, you'll still have breakaway small movements that, come down.
And The way, and I mean, you have, like, talking about organic music and bands, you know, in the 80s and 90s, you had bands filling out stadiums,
Yeah.
15, 20,000 people.
Yeah.
And now it's electronic music doing the same kind of a thing.
Yeah.
Yeah,
It's just the next evolution.
It's the next evolution.
Yeah,
It's electronic music. You got DJs that are kind of rock star status.
Yeah, DJs are the new rock stars. Yeah.
That are filling out 15, 20,000 people selling 2-3 shows. Where you would have had the Metallicas or the Pinks or the Madonnas or the Guns N' Roses or all that
Rage
kind of
Against,
stuff. Yeah. And now you've got the electronic artists doing the same thing and filling out big stadiums.
Yeah. And you guys, I mean, you have been organizers of you know, you've hosted acts that are those kinds of people, like not the Tiesto side, but no, you still obviously stay within the hard dance umbrella. But you know, you guys have had Brendan Hart, so you've had these big shows, huge laser, huge fire production and stuff like that, and you know, that is quite an organizational task too.
Well, one of the biggest productions we did was I'm Hardstyle. And it was actually one of the biggest
nightmares.
one of the biggest productions Festival Hall had ever seen. They actually had to downgrade it because the ceiling of Festival Hall could not cater for the weight.
Rigging's like, it's not going to happen.
It's like, we can't.
Yeah.
We have to, you guys are asking for 3-4 times what most bands want to do.
That's why, like, this is the biggest rig we've put in. You want like all this stuff, and they're like, the riggers are not going to sign off on it. We can't do it.
We had to
like, no, you can do it. Respect. I'm like, no, we can't.
We had to downgrade.
What did you guys try to do?
We met them halfway, and we said, look, this is legally what we can do. You know, negotiated an amazing like setup, but just, you know, to the level they wanted, it was just not possible. Yeah. But they were like, wow, super professional. They flew in days before, spent hours programming, had their whole team. We flew about 10 people over from, you know, the lighting, the program, the DJs and everything, production, and went through it all. And it was phenomenal. It was like next level, you know.
Yeah.
Along with the writers for some of the artists that didn't get drunk.
Yeah, we were talking about that earlier.
We were having a laugh. I think we had someone had like $1,000 rider, and it was like a bottle of Louis Cristal and nuts, peanut butter was in there, and all this weird stuff. It was like a page, and the artist has come in and with his manager and sat in a green room. And he looks at everything like, you know, do you want a beer? He's like, no. You know, want a sip of champagne? He's like, no. Strawberry? No. I'll have the orange juice. And that was it. We're like, oh my God. And then left. And I'm like, can we return half of this stuff?
And the Rick Astley being played
in a hotel room.
Yeah, in a hotel. No, at the in the artist room at the venue.
What, constantly, or just when they arrive?
When they arrive, yeah. They wanted
it's like, hey, he's coming.
I want to give you up, yeah.
Rick I want to give you up. We laughed and put it in line like, is this for real? I'm like, well, we've got to do it. Let's just do it anyway. Just to, you know,
to appease the artist.
That we could do it because it's kind of funny, so we did it.
You guys,
it's like, oh, that was just a joke. You didn't need to do that. Yeah, but we did it.
We did it, yeah.
Oh man, that's fucking hilarious. So you guys are obviously, you know, we talk about this, like, you know, you do these massive productions and being involved in a lot of things. Your latest venture, which is quite exciting because at the moment I think Esoteric, that's the venture. Esoteric is one of the, I guess, now spearheading the, what if you want to call it, transformational festivals, bush doofs, or just outdoor music festivals in Australia, or at least even in Victoria. I know Elements Festival, our friends at Elements in Queensland, they're also raging the flag high.
Yeah.
Obviously, we've had Earth Frequency, but a lot of festivals have taken a hit. Rainbow's taken a hit. Dragon Dreaming, which is one of my favorite festivals. I've played there almost every year for the last 5 years. I missed that festival dearly, and they had to postpone due to lockdown. And so you guys are involved in ESO, and they have really come out from for me, I was just like, wow, this came out of nowhere. But then, I realized, well, actually, there's a lot of different people involved in this. You've got Muska from Organic Audio, who does the techno side of things. Dylan Ja and Cam from Snake Pit, they do the bass side of things. And then I guess Luke Math and his crew, I'm not sure who runs the festival. I guess they were always from the hard trance scene. Someone told me this, like they were always involved in that.
Well, Luke is, Welcome to the Jungle.
Well, and they were part of
all
Earthcore.
The Renegade stages at Earthcore, Rainbow.
That's where they started, didn't they? Yeah. And it's crazy to go from a themed campsite to almost like going bigger than Earthcore,
I think like there's a couple of partners, but between us all, we've got mass of experience. And we all bring something new
every year.
To Hysteric.
And
that's what made it quite unique between our different expertise and what we do in our different genres. But between us all, we've all, like, me and Jiv love psytrance forever. That's always been my
at the end of the day, it's still trance and it's hard.
Trance.
Yeah.
But just, with the lifestyle and everything, like what can we bring to it and bring all our skills together to make something amazing.
So what is your level of involvement with it? Because on your Facebook page, it says lead designer. Now, I know you do lifestyle because we worked together at the Hammock Temple. We had some great times last year. Some pretty fucking great times. some really great, like...
More to come.
Yeah, more to come. There was some amazing live acts that happened, an impromptu freestyle rap sesh. I got involved in that, and that's, for me, that's what makes festivals, is that key moment that you don't get that in like the big festival arena style gigs, because we have like the jam sessions and this, so we can, literally kick the shoes off and, get down and pick up a guitar and get dirty and sing along and, kumbaya, motherfucker. So your lifestyle, and you said on Facebook it says lead designer, I guess.
So I've been doing the artwork for Hysteric.
Yeah.
So all the creative you've seen, all the print media and design concepts, which I work with Lucas. And then just last year I took on the role as the artist manager as well.
Yeah, for the entire festival.
Yeah.
So, and does that, do you guys have a hand in sort of the booking process? Or walk me through it. Tell me, from your perspective. Tell me everything.
It's different in different areas. So for me, the stages kind of run themselves in the sense that they'll put it together, but then they have their key acts that they want to book, which have to engage in, whether it's the internationals or interstaters, and then do the whole process and organize, obviously, all the touring side of stuff with the visas and ground transports and everything like that. And then we will go through, obviously, the running schedules and the times, and they have a good creative control on that. Me and Lucas obviously do the Sun Temple, which is the main stage. Mm-hmm. And then Ascension.
So when you say this, you do it,
we'll sit down, we look at the artists we want to book, who we've booked within the budget constraints of what we have, and then kind of work through it in the styles and where the stages is going.
Yeah.
So, because everything's got to fit into budget and timelines and
obviously,
other things like that we have to work with. And once we kind of format it, we put it all together and do all the nuts and bolts, like essentially, and make it all work. All the contracts and making sure if they need a tent, they need a hotel room, they need transport. What's on their rider? What's the technical aspects of that, and then do that by a couple hundred.
It's funny because we used to run Yamaya Festival, and I ran an entire stage, but when it came to the hotel and the flights, and I was like, it perplexes me. I just dyslexic sometimes with certain, like, the flight details. I had Katina on my team, and I was like, just sort these guys out. Here's the numbers. I just don't want to deal with the flights. Let's just deal with the production, because it is such a huge undertaking, like it's hard enough trying to manage your own flights.
I know, right?
100 people, So, and then Jim, yourself, your lifestyle, what does that entail?
I've been working with a lifestyle for Rainbow as well for, like we mentioned before, for at least a dozen years. So working with Garth initially, Garth Ladigan.
Yep.
He's the one that actually got me involved.
Is this
Rainbow?
the gentleman that made the Plur event a few
Guys.
Yeah, I saw that.
Small Police. Small Police.
Yeah.
Small
I'm like, I don't know what that is, but I'm like, when I saw that and that happened, I was like, God damn it, those are my people.
Yeah.
I missed out on my people.
Garth has been around the scene as long as we have. He's been around since late 90s, doing his own parties as well.
Yeah, very Plur.
Yeah,
I guess.
yeah.
Yeah.
So Garth got me into Rainbow and got me involved with the lifestyle village at Rainbow, and doing from one little marquee of talks, and then over the dozen years we've grown this area. Other people took over from Garth's spot over the years. So it was an area that I really enjoyed. That it was different from music. It gave patrons an escape from the music aspect at a festival, where they can go and meditate, or go and listen to a talk, or go and do a massage, or go learn how to hula hoop, or just another activity away from listening to a DJ or listening to music. And that's and because I do with everything we do with other events and festivals, I've really enjoyed the lifestyle aspect of these doofs.
The karma side.
It's giving people an we keep using this word escape. We've used it several times tonight. Getting people to enjoy yoga or. So I've been basically building the lifestyle village at Esoteric over the last 4 or 5 years.
From the very beginning.
Yeah, from the beginning, from the word go, because I've had a lot of experience with Rainbow.
Yeah.
And we've got several spaces, several structures next year. And next year we're also incorporating a new area, the Chill State, the Chill Island.
Chill Island, yeah.
The Chill Island, as we're calling it. So, which is basically about 80 to 100 meters away from the actual festival. It's an actual island of trees.
Okay, so it won't be surrounded by water. God damn it.
Unfortunately, no.
I was going to bring me a boat.
We're surrounded by lunatics, so you never know. We build the lagoon. Yeah. We build a lagoon at Esoteric, so you never know. You may rock up next year and there'll be an island. Yeah, there'll be.
As long as I get to wear a pirate hat.
There'll be a boat going and taking the patrons across the island to Chill Island. No, so next year we're bringing in the Chill Island, which you also will be.
Am I?
Yes. You're making a presence and performing.
Just give me a megaphone.
But it'll be kind of an extension of the festival, and where people can also. We're building a massage space as well. Not only massage talks and learning how to do massages, but actually get involved. Yeah, getting massages on a Chill Island. So we're creating a little haven away from the festival. So yeah.
One thing that I've really enjoyed to see is I'm a big proponent of that, and I think I ran the alternative stage at Yamaya, and a lot of my booking for artists was based on other festivals that I went to, including Boom, which I know Scott we talked about. I don't know if you went to Boom, Jim, but you did, Scott.
Meant to go.
Yeah, but
COVID
happened, and one of the things I noticed is live music brings people to a different, it is such a part of this culture, live music, funk, soul, whatever the genre is, it doesn't matter. But all these alternative styles of music, but also alternative styles of culture, which is so integrated into our, I guess, subcultures that we're part of. It really gives a softer edge to our festivals, and also I think paving the way forward. It feels like this is what we are trying to show our, our government bodies that regulate us. That this is. We are promoting more than just music. We are promoting. We're not promoting rebellion anymore because, we decided we can't beat the system. The system's rigged. So we're going to go and do our own thing and just try to educate people. And it's so important.
This is our system.
This is our system. and it works. And I think, Scott, I was mentioning, we talked about this briefly, is that Boom managed to do it. Like like they bought the land, they grew the vegetables, they have their supermarket there. It was, for me, that was just like, I mean, the lifestyle village there was almost the size of the main dance floors, the 3-4 dance floor areas that they had. And it was like, it was just a trek just to go to the lifestyle area. When you went there, you were like, fuck, there's more walking. You know, like, oh God, I should have bought a bike.
They got the flea market. And
it was like when we went to Eclipse Festival in Oregon.
Yeah.
The lifestyle village there was, the yoga spaces or the meditation spaces.
I think that was the biggest chill out stage I've ever seen in my life. It was the size of what our main stage was here. I was like,
it was incredible. Hilarious. But
can we have 250,000 beds, please?
Yeah, totally.
Exactly.
It was amazing because all the artists stood on the rim painting. It was fantastic. You could just walk around and watch all the artists painting slow music. So that was super special. Yeah.
Yeah.
But you mentioned before, that's another area that we've been building over the last couple of years, the live music in the lifestyle area, especially at the Hammock Temple.
At the Hammock Temple, yeah. Shout out to Patrick Holmes.
Shout out to Patrick, yes. But next year I've got 3 nights, because during the days when we do all the workshops, at night we're turning it into a live music aspect of the festival, and Friday night female takeover, or just female artists, female. Yeah, like you're getting attacked out there.
I can see it.
It's right there next to the ear.
Yeah, I got rainbow coming at me.
Yeah, Mozzie's coming.
So Friday night is basically a female takeover, all some wonderful, wonderful female musicians, singer-songwriters. Saturday, we're going everything from funk to reggae.
And you know what's funny is you've come full circles, Jim. You're a live music enthusiast.
Yeah.
And now you started to go back.
You go.
You've come full circle.
It's just great to see musicians just be there and just...
Well, this is...
Bring out their heart and soul.
Exactly,
That's their heart and soul.
This is...
At the end of the day, it's they're performing, a lot of them are performing their own musical originals, which you were a part of.
Yeah, I made that shit up on the spot.
Yeah, you and Dr. Asparagus a couple of years ago, and the Pied Piper and Ian Maddock last year, and Crystal and all these amazing
Snakefish Collective.
The Snakefish Collective. Wow.
Yeah.
Amazing, beautiful.
Is Pickle Rick in there anywhere?
No, he'll make an appearance next year, Pickle Rick. Amazing, beautiful artists, performers, songwriters, who a lot of the stuff was done on the spot.
Yeah. This is a big proponent that I've been like trying to push at different festivals. So I've always hijacked my friends who have sound systems in their market stores. Like Cybus is the big thing. Like the first year of Babylon, I was working there. It's a funny story. I was working there doing stage management, but also actually doing the opening ceremony for the festival and running the indigenous mob, like doing the shows with them, and then actually doing the speech. And they're like, "Oh, do you prepared anything?" I was like, "No, it's all in here, you know." But hey, it's all off the top of the dome. I had to forfeit my set because they weren't ready, the indigenous fellas, and the guys from the Babylon, the hardware guys. "Oh, why'd you miss your set?" I was like, "Hey, man, I'm not important. Their culture is more important. We've taken away so much from them. And now you want to take an extra fucking 30 minutes? I'll forfeit my set." Yeah. But in doing so, I got to play an 18-hour set. And it's this thing called community radio. And community radio is just this fun like style set where anybody who can sing, anybody who can rap is welcome to just jump on the mic while we play backing tracks. And you turn it into a fake radio show, but it's fun. And the whole point that I'm trying to make is this live element creates a jam element. And that's it. Like there is no if we put a camera on that and we recorded that, the amount of banter and just live rap, like the things that you see, it's just pure and unadulterated entertainment and
enjoyment.
And it's like it takes away from this having to face the stage, and just watch that one person playing the music, and it really just breaks. Like it just changes it up a little bit, and for me, I don't know if you get that, but it's just nice to have a break from even just like having this format of entertainment that we've been consuming, and and you've managed to create that as well. So what excites me is that, okay, cool, this festival is incorporating this, this thing that I think is missing now in every single festival. I think in Australia needs to have this
whole ad lib off knock kind of like spur of the moment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And one thing ESO had, which made me fucking love, is I think his name is Dan Angelo. He does these things like Fatima at the Doof kind of thing. I think it was a far away past the lifestyle village, past the campsites. There was another little area with grass, and it had a bunch of different stalls and a stage there. And they had a What the Fluff, I think it was called. There was this guy, Dan Angelo, and he was just doing stand-up comedy. And he's pretty funny. I love my stand-up, and I'm like, and it's like, yes, why don't we have more of that? Why don't we have more of this? And they're doing it. And this is, I think, what enriches festival culture. What makes, for me, ESO actually go, I want to be involved with these guys, because they're really trying to cater for all these avenues. You can literally not go to, I always tell this to people, you don't need to like the music, just come.
You'll find something.
You'll find something.
Exactly.
I'm like, I spend an hour max a day on the stage, maybe. I just go and find those experiences that we had that night at was it Saturday?
That was a beautiful night.
That was a beautiful night.
It was a wonderful night. Went for hours.
Yeah,
It was wonderful.
It was so just to give context for our viewers, it was the Hammock Temple, which our friend Paddy, I volunteered to come help. It's just a lycra shade sail structure in a geometric form, and there's hammocks in the middle, and there's a little center, like some polygonal some polygonal structure. Jim's running the space, he's doing all the live sound, and they've got this crew called the Snakefish Collective, and they are animals. They are absolute savages of musicians. They all just apparently met each other. They're all travelers
from
all over.
From Crunchy Town, apparently.
From Crunchy Town, yeah.
Yes, from Crunchy Town. That's where a lot of them also met.
Yeah.
Just a whole bunch of different musicians. Just amazing, like I said, amazing souls.
Yeah.
They just got together and created this outfit, the Snakefish Collective. And wacky.
And them is some motherfucking funky ass people.
Yeah, nice.
With the Pied Piper.
The Pied Piper. What was his name?
He's left us now.
He's left us. They all of them have left, I think, right?
Back to Brazil.
No, Ian Maddock is headlining, or not headlining, but he's going to be one of the artists next year performing.
Yeah, he's headlining.
Yeah, he's headlining. But I've got a couple of the musicians from that outfit performing next year. So
yeah. Scott,
it's good.
You missed that, didn't you?
No, I'm listening.
No, I mean, like you missed that night.
You missed that.
Oh,
night.
I totally missed that night.
Yeah. Should have been there, man. Should have been there.
He was busy with a million other things.
No,
that's right. There's plenty more moments.
So the funny thing is, I always people always laugh, but I always find a way backstage and like this and that, because I just love the techie side of things as well. And I think I found a way backstage at the top of the main stage shipping containers. And I was like,
that's all Scott happens backstage.
Yeah, I was like, oh, hey, Scott. And you're just like loving, just geeking out on this laser show. And
no, but look, that's I think at the end of the day, the beautiful thing about esoteric and what's creating, what has been created. It's,
Yeah.
It's been building and creating over the last 5 years.
It's unique. Every year is different, unexpected.
Yeah.
Main stage has always changed, and it's always
The
a different
themes.
expression. People roll up not quite knowing what to expect, and we're always kind of like up the bar a bit.
it was an underwater theme last year, I think.
Yeah, that's
or
correct.
an Atlantean theme.
Yeah. And the year with all the plants and the flowers. So every year with the image mapping and stuff is
The
kind
owl.
of
The
up.
owl.
The owl,
Yeah.
still my favorite.
That was hard to top.
That was pretty amazing. Oh, well, wait till next year.
Next year with the Phoenix.
With the Phoenix. We can't say too much, but
The
next
next year
year
with the Phoenix.
we have a real Phoenix that's going to be there with wings.
Yeah,
And,
it's gonna be a light
For
on
those
fire.
that are coming next year and have got a ticket.
So we do, it is rethought every year, like how do we up it, but at the same time change it?
Yeah.
So next year's a little bit different to just the image mapping. We've got a few different things up our sleeve.
Yeah. Yeah.
Which I think is nice. So because I think, last year was almost 360 degrees of image mapping. So I'm like, well, what can you do then?
Yeah.
Be surrounded by image mapping.
Ceiling?
And the ceiling and the sides. So we're like, let's kind of turn it upside down and change it up a bit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's pretty exciting. I think it'll be good.
Using the sky.
Well, I had 2 years to work on it now. So.
Yeah. It's great when you
Not that we can get to the site to build. That I must admit, that's been a little bit of a frustration, but
with the lockdown
with the
restrictions.
lockdown, so we are falling behind, but I think we'll get there now.
Yeah.
That's that's I guess like the last thing we can talk about is we've just endured whatever that was, the 3 months, this haze. It wasn't purple haze, that's for sure.
3 months. I would have said not 18, but yeah, okay.
18. I actually lost. I don't even know what year we're in anymore.
I know, because I'm like, I feel like weren't we just open before that? Like we did have some semblance of partying and stuff like that.
It was like little spurts of like
freedom,
and then it was just taken away, and it was like, oh my god.
I thought it was 3 months, but actually no, it's a lot longer, isn't it? Like, I don't even know what date it is.
Well, we did Christmas Kandy last December. And then the last show we did was Easter Thursday, April. No, Fired Up, May. So December to May, we kind of did.
And then there was still restrictions in place, and there was a bit of tearing. We're quite surprised that we just came out of lockdown so quick. We expected it to be this huge, drawn out process again. And it was like, no, we're all back. Kind of opened up fast, which is fantastic. But look, definitely had its challenges. I think we all went through our ups and downs. We had moments of, being totally excited and going, yeah, this is the time to work on personal projects and get this done. And then it was like, okay, now I miss everyone. I need to go out. There's no events. So you go through a cycle of depression a little bit where you doubt yourself and feel disconnected and isolated. And then you have to kind of battle through that and you're going to snap out of it and then move back on and get motivated. So for me, it was like just a roller coaster. Yin and yanging because, you work on your projects, but then got to a point where you felt constricted because obviously it's frustrating for the company just sitting there doing nothing, no events. I looked at all, I think 20, when was the first lockdown? I forget, 2020. We had a huge year planned out. The whole year was mapped out with massive events and it was all gone. The whole year was just wiped out that we'd spent a year planning. Yeah. So it was kind of heartbreaking.
Stadium shows.
That was going to be a really big year. We had some amazing stuff planned, And then, so then we obviously worked on the warehouse and different projects, upskilling and trying to make the most of it, I guess.
Yeah. Well, we were all at ESSO when...
That was we were at ESSO and went, oh my God, what's happening?
We get back from ESSO and it's like, what
is this virus?
What's going on? I think that was the last hurrah.
No, it was more where's all the toilet paper gone? that was the first indication. It's like, we're just coming home from
that was totally surreal. We couldn't even get back to site to pack it up.
Yeah.
Because we went into lockdown. So the site was stuck there for months.
So every equipment.
Half unpacked because literally we got back and I think we went to lockdown within 2 weeks.
Yeah, with the next week.
Next week. And we're like, well, half the site was just still up. So that caused huge problems because we just couldn't get back up, to unpack it. And then obviously we had to start looking at all the cancellations and refunds and what we couldn't launch. And it was a difficult year.
Do you think moving forward that next year we might get postponed? I mean, it's hard to tell, right?
Look, I'm 99.99% confident. But look, I think the last lockdown was totally unexpected. We thought that was it. We're out. It's good. And then what? They go, we're going to a 7-day lockdown. I went, what, for 80 days?
No, that's it. It went 3 months.
3 months. It was like, what the hell? It was crazy. So I don't think we will, but it is scary. The new bill they're pushing forward with at the moment gives the powers to the local government to shut us down. And I'm pretty confident that we'll stay open. But then I think in the last few days, Europe is starting to go back into lockdown. So we're encroaching on our winter next year and maybe it'll happen. I won't know.
It depends on international travel, maybe.
Yeah, look, it won't affect us because we're all locals and New Zealand artists. So we just have to stay positive and move forward that we'll be okay. We can't do much else than just keep working hard to put on these amazing events,
I got to say that's one kind of for me, like to witness is one awesome thing is that we've started to book locally because we've got such a great talent pool of producers, and it's like you said, you probably won't have to deal with another 2000 Twix bars or like some fucking fancy rider that you have to adhere to.
Well, with SO, it's been pretty much our theme, our ethos for SO has been literally 90%
locals.
Local anyway.
Yeah, I think that was like last year as well. There weren't many internationals.
We focus heavily on locals.
Focus heavily on locals. We had 10% internationals, and probably not even.
And this is what's exciting is because it's like you're like focusing on the experience.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And it's so much, like the model is so much more sustainable.
Yeah.
And it's better for your pockets from a financial standpoint as well.
It is good, Dad. It is good, Dad. But
to focus on the production, that's what I mean.
We've got amazing talent right here at home.
Yeah.
That's what we're trying to get to. That we've got amazing DJs, we've got amazing producers. We don't need to fly people from, and there's amazing producers and DJs all over the world.
Yeah.
But we also have all that here at home.
Yeah.
Invest in your own culture and support your community and give them the opportunity to shine. Invest in them, and because they need these kind of festivals to showcase their talents and community. So we want to here's your avenue. We love what you're doing. Go for it. Here's your stage. Do your thing.
Yeah. And hopefully export. Export, because it's like one issue is that to make a livelihood as a musician here, you'd have to reach some really large level of commercial success. But for the underground person, if we can export them overseas, then they can make a life out of touring.
Yeah.
And I always admire people who can reach that, but it's so difficult. Not many reach that point.
Australia's tough. Like, sadly, we lose a lot of our artists who move overseas because we are so far.
Yeah.
So they'll go live in America or go to Europe. Like, we know artists just with Hard Kandy that we book, a few of them have all gone and moved to the Netherlands.
Yeah.
Because the amount of shows and festivals and gigs that they can do through Europe, for 6 to 8 months.
Yeah.
And they can't keep traveling back and forth. And look at artists like Flume and Tidy and other artists, examples who now in America, because there's just so many states and shows, and unfortunately you get to a level where 5 cities really, and and side shows that you can only grow so much to the point where the rest of the world is a much bigger oyster for them.
Well, just Europe, you've got 400 million people, whatever Europe is, compared to 25 million in Australia, 5 cities.
Yeah.
That's a difference.
And a lot less conservative, at least, as well. Yeah.
Well, that's it.
Well, we've spoken about that. Yeah.
Changing government.
Yes.
It's like, you wonder whether, a bunch of promoters who just decide to go into government.
We need a techno parliament.
Yeah, we need a techno party.
The
technocrats.
The rave party.
Yeah.
Maybe we can amalgamate with a sex party or something.
I vote for Jedi.
I'm so into Jedi consensus. Yeah.
Use the Force.
Yeah. The Force is strong. So look, before I guess we're reaching the 2-hour mark, and no, there's no time limit on this bitch. But we can keep going. I'd love to see this go longer, but you kept
stay tuned for part 2.
Yeah, stay tuned for part 2.
Coming to a cinema near you.
2 white guys and an Arab. Damn, nigga, you all race into this.
Oh my God. The post-lockdown stream. Streaming. We actually never talked about streaming.
No, well, that's what I was gonna segue into that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I was gonna be like, you. I think was that one of the ways you kept sane?
Actually, yeah, it was.
Yeah.
I think we were a little bit behind times to get the streaming up, but I think when we did, it was amazing because it allowed us to connect to the community and people at home and have a real one-on-one association to see them talk and chat online, and also have an outlet for music and creativity through this medium.
Yeah.
So we're kind of like, this is great. We can play around with streaming and learn different things about, I guess with Twitch for example, how the different technology is impacting people and in what people are going through because, you know, they're chatting to us about what's going on. So that was only our real medium to our community. And it was also not locally but worldwide. So that was kind of exciting to embrace that and move forward, which is something we're going to continue to do.
Yeah.
So definitely out of lockdown, that's something positive that's come out of it, which would have never, I guess, thought about.
And it was a great way to
Yeah.
continue promoting
The
and
brand.
pushing the brand.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And stay alive in
Yeah,
people's
I'd
Yeah.
still
minds.
be able to play music and talk to people and do stuff and stay active. And it was really engaging. So
And it was unfortunate that we missed out on some kind of monumental occasions like our 22nd birthday,
Which was, what date was that?
October 8th.
I had to do a 24-hour stream.
So we decided to do a
Oh, dude.
22-hour stream.
So I said, and someone's like, yeah, you can do it. But someone's like, you can DJ for 22 hours. I'm like, yeah, sure, no problems. I'm like, can I? What the hell? Like,
So
yeah, I can do this. Yeah, no,
we
sweat.
ended up doing, I like how I kept saying we because I didn't do anything.
He sat on the couch
I
and
sat
just
on
did the
on a
monitoring.
computer moderating.
And getting me, I actually didn't drink. It was good. Just occasional drinks and food. And,
You're just getting the catheter out. Just,
yeah.
Here's a bucket. Just pretend like to squat. That's all you have to do.
Pretty
Yeah.
much. No, look, we organised a 22-hour stream for the 22nd birthday.
With you solo?
Yeah.
Fucking
So I ended up going to the
You've made my
24
limit, man.
because I hit the 22 and I was so buzzing with excitement from the achievement. I had to keep going because there were so many people online.
Yeah.
Because I'd made the finale. So I was like, yeah, well, I just can't finish. I'm going to keep going, you know?
Yeah.
Because now you're in party mode, you're excited, and the adrenaline's going. I'd gone beyond tired at that stage. And it was incredible. It was a really nice thing to do for the community and everyone. And plus the learning experience to see if I could actually pull it off.
Yeah.
Because I think about 7 or 8 in the morning, I kind of started to really struggle. I'm like, I'm only halfway and I'm exhausted.
No, you struggled. You were
I'm
like,
like,
kept coming out of the studio. I was
I don't
like,
know, dude. I think I can
"Dude,
make this.
I can't do this. I'm fading out.
I'm fading out.
Every
I know,
hour.
I was an idiot. I didn't have a stool, so I stood the whole time. So my mates rolled up and they go, we saw you standing and it
organised.
looked painful, so we bought you over a stool. I'm like, oh my God, thank you. You're the best.
Yes. The universe provides.
Yeah.
So no, it has. Yeah, in that regard, it has been good.
Yeah.
but it has been good to connect with people all over the world, and we've sold merchandise to people in the USA, Canada, Germany. Although they're not going to get the
It takes a
merchandise, they're not going to get the merchandise for another few months because of Australia Post. Great job.
Yeah.
Great job.
Sitting at Tullamarine Airport for 2 months.
Yeah,
Hey,
doing
we
much.
could put it on a seagull and get there quicker.
They should just do a click and collect there.
Yeah.
Right?
So no, it has been great to connect with people from all over the world and, introducing what we do as a brand, Hard Kandy.
Mind you, I've always wanted a Hard Candy hoodie and a PhD hoodie. So I'm one day I saw the one on your website. You better have stock because I'm gonna buy one. That's for sure.
We're down the road. We're literally down, our warehouse is done, which is another thing we've done over the lockdown
Is invest in a warehouse space?
Yeah.
and develop it and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah,
we've
with the
taken
office
over
and
warehouse,
merchandise
yeah.
and everything. And
For just purely for the retail purpose.
for the business.
Yeah.
Oh,
Just as an
everything.
operational hub.
Yeah.
Yeah. And decor as well and that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. Yeah.
Everything.
Well, that was more moved in because we were bored and we thought, let's bring the decor in so we can jazz it up because normally it's in the containers. And we're like, well, it's just sitting there doing nothing. And we're like, oh, maybe we just pull it out and have displayed around because people really like it. They don't get to see it. So we've got a couple of fun
So would you ever
decor elements. It's good to show up.
and would you ever open up the warehouse for the public or is that no?
Still haven't had a fucking warehouse opening.
yeah, no.
Still waiting, are we?
Yeah.
We're,
Warehouse party, you're invited.
Fuck yeah, let's do
That's
it.
going to be fun.
So, with the advent of streaming and I guess the release of our freedom, a new sense of freedom, if it is a sense at all, but where do you guys see streaming taking place now that you can actually put on shows? Like, will you stop doing that? Will you continue to do it? How do you see that now integrate as part of your branding and platform? Like, is that just something you're just going to try and incorporate to keep the brand and the content alive? Like, what do you want to do with it?
Look, that's another outlet like anything. It's another platform for us to work with the community and audience and play music. And
And showcase
it's another
that.
medium, whether it's like TikTok, now that's popular, and
Yeah.
streaming is just another avenue that we've embraced. Although it's great in the sense that we could actually stream from everywhere. We did some SO streams that were really effective when that didn't run. So I feel that it's another medium that we'd really like to explore and develop. And I think it's going to really grow because you can tune in. And the great thing I love about it is how it connects you with other artists you would know about with all the raids and stuff. So you're bringing people in, other artists into the web of what you're doing that you may have not discovered. You know, because people raiding to us we've never heard of. And we're like, oh my God, who's this trance DJ from America or this German DJ? Or like, oh my God, this is amazing. We would have never heard of them. And they get to see them and we raid into someone else. So there's a real sense of community as well on that platform. We just discovered that, you know, we're like, oh, there's so many amazing people we never knew were out there.
And a few times, a couple of the shows that we did earlier in the year when we were able to run, we actually did stream a couple of times.
Yeah.
And because we've sold out shows, people that are at home or people that are.
Would you offer that for free or would you still?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good on you. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Because that could be like, oh, we charge people for that too.
No. People at home can watch it. I mean, obviously it's better to be at the venue, listening to the music, hugging people, having a dance. But people from all over the world. It's not just people in Victoria or Melbourne.
Yeah, that's right.
Well, that's it, people, because the multiverse is coming. You can go to the Kandy metaverse.
The metaverse.
You're going to be on the dance floor, listening to the music. You won't be able to leave your couch. Bit of a worry, but the metaverse is coming. I think that's the future. I think lockdown has sped that up. Look at Burning Man and Q Dance and all these huge festivals doing this.
Have they adopted it?
Adopting the virtual reality metaverse stuff, and it's definitely sped it up by a lot of years, thinking, is this another platform and avenue? And the technology is now getting so good that it's accessible to everyone.
Yeah.
You know, I got an Oculus, you know, the Facebook Oculus Rift. And it's like, it's amazing. And I was like, and it's within, you know, it's pretty cheap.
Yeah.
And as now, you look, even obviously Facebook changing to Meta, and I can see all the big companies starting to funnel their money into it. It's just going to get, you know, so much more accessible as the technology.
Traction,
when the internet was introduced, everyone kind of laughed at it. And then you looked at 10 years later and it's like videos and animation and GIFs. And I think that's our next leap.
Yeah. And well, you guys, this is so interesting because, you know, you started in 1999 or, you know, earlier, and you have literally, you were at the early stages. I mean, like, you know, when did emails even get like popular? Like maybe 97, 96. And so, you know, suddenly you're 22 years later, you've got this level of accessibility and reach that is unprecedented. And, you know, so much of the way you interface with technology has changed. Yet I can see, like, I've, you know, since we spoke at the club about, you know, MacBooks and stuff, I can see you both are so interested in the tech side of things. And it always seems that the people who do well with keeping the event live is staying current with the technology that you have.
Yeah.
You know, so you guys
and
are
adapting to it.
Adapting to it, yeah.
It's funny that you say that, because this whole discussion, interview, whatever you want to call it, I've been staring at that. No one else, the viewers can't
the real
see
to real.
It. I've been staring at the real to real this entire time.
Yeah.
Now, when I started sound engineering when I was studying sound engineering back in 92, 93, 94, we were editing on reel to reels.
On real tape.
We were splicing. We were splicing tape on a 45-degree angle, you know, doing edits. That's how we were editing back then.
Really? Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. So I was actually.
I thought that was only film. Yeah.
No. Sound as well. Yeah. We would maneuver the reels back and forth until we find a kick or wherever we wanted to splice.
Yeah.
Cut it, find the next part, cut it again, put it together, and use tape.
Wow.
That's how we used
to do movies as well.
They do that in movies. Yeah.
So that's, talking about technology and adapting to it. Yeah, that's how I began. That's how I started. That's how I learned. Sound engineering and editing in sound splicing reel-to-reel tape. And I've been staring at that for the last 2 hours.
Just remembering your adolescence. Yeah.
It's a beautiful machine, by the way.
It's very funny. I was actually on a demolition job we're on a demo job at someone's house, and I'm actually going to do a demolition job tomorrow. For the same guy that hired me. And every time I go there, something always awesome happens on these jobs. Like I always meet someone or something happens. So this was just sitting in a garage at the back, and the woman was a hoarder. The woman was a hoarder. She'd lost her husband. She was kind of going a bit, there, bless her soul. But I was like, that tape machine, like, what's the story behind that? And she goes, I'm going to throw it in the bin. I'm like, can I have it?
Oh, wow.
and then they're like, yeah, sure. And then,
wow.
And then my mate's dad, who's running the job, he's like, he pulls up a bunch of these tapes, and he's like, there's an Aussie Prime Minister got something.
Goth Whitlam?
Yes. They were tapes recordings of him.
Oh, wow.
Actually giving a speech or something like that. And he gives like, you can have them. This is his recorded speech from 60. I don't know what period of time he was in, but I forgot those tapes. I was like, I wouldn't have played them, but I think it works. I don't know what era it's from, but I love.
I've actually got a few reels at home.
Yeah,
at the warehouse.
We should totally see if we can get that to work
from school. Yeah. From actual school, from back in 92, 93.
For your actual splicing,
yeah. I've actually got reels from those days.
That's funny you say, because I remember watching 16 millimeter movies with my family. It's very young. In the lounge room, we'd set up the screen. My dad set up the camera, and I was like, wow, how technology's come.
It's come a long way.
Sitting now to virtual reality, and only in a period of, around 30, 40 years. Crazy.
I know.
We live in a cusp of a very exciting time in the evolution
of the technology.
Yeah. And even like humankind, because kind of this era is so short in the whole spans of the planet, really.
Yeah. Like we're just so young. Like technology is still, the digital technology, the medium that we use, it's so young. I mean, we just said earlier in the show, like hip hop turned 50 this week. How old did dance music turn? Like,
Yeah.
Probably around the same age.
Yeah.
Probably around the same age, right? Because everything kind of...
I'm 22. How old are you?
I'm 31. You're 31. Am I 31? Yeah, I'm 31.
I'm forever 22.
When would Detroit House, that kind of...
Was it Detroit? That was Detroit techno.
89, 90. First acid house record was 1988.
Not earlier, not 70s?
My memory forgets me at this point, but I have it at home. It's a 9-minute acid house track from Detroit with just a 303 and a 909.
Yep.
Yeah, that was defined as the first acid house
song. Yeah. Chin stroking moment.
Yeah.
Yes.
Good old days.
But it was used before, but that's when the movement started. It was Detroit that started with the 303 and the 909 and the 808.
Was it Detroit house or Detroit techno? Or the same?
Well, it was kind of, you had Detroit, Chicago house
and Detroit
techno.
Yeah. Jeff Mills, Juan Atkins, like that, Derek May.
All those guys, yeah.
It's amazing to see like Jeff Mills on a drum machine at 303. It's like Butterfingers, like, they just bounce. They bounce off the knobs, and you're like, this guy is literally an alien.
Exciting.
This has been an absolute pleasure, guys. Shooting the shit, chin stroking.
Chin stroking.
Absolutely, just stroking my goatee. Cooper's Green, sponsored by Cooper.
Lockdown Cody.
Yeah. You're paying homage to your metal, his heavy metal rocker,
It was a lot longer.
You better start braiding it soon.
Yeah, I know. We should have seen it a few months ago.
Longer or shorter?
Longer.
I was everywhere.
It was longer, yeah.
I know your wife would have filed for divorce if you wouldn't.
Not married.
Not married, no.
Not married.
Just made her
That's
up.
why.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of this.
Well, you're married to both of you. I guess, like, I don't know if you're married,
to the
Scott.
scene.
You're married to the scene. It is. It's like I always say, my first love in life is music. You know, it would have been hip hop back at the time, but then now it's all of it.
Yeah.
Right. Gentlemen, it has been a sensational pleasure to have you on the show. Before we conclude things, I always open up a plugging session. So feel free to plug whatever the fuck you want, whatever's coming up for you guys, what shows. Obviously,
everything that's been postponed for the last year that's going
Please
on
go.
in the next 6 months. No. Yeah, we've got, look, we obviously do have several shows that well, next.
So it'd be next year. We'd be plugging, right? Because we're gonna miss the next one, which is now's the time on the 15th and 16th. But
14th,
time.
15th.
14th and 15th of January.
Most importantly, come to Esoteric. It's life changing.
I can vouch for that.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. Come
So-
get lost to get found.
No, we've also got Melbourne Hard Trance Reunion
Oh yes,
on the 29th of January,
Yep.
which is an old school night. All three shows
Esoteric
are
launch also in February.
at the third day.
I'll need
Yeah.
someone to get me custom fat pants. Never mind. I'll bring the baby powder.
Talcum. Ooh.
Ooh, tackle baby.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, we've got quite a lot of shows coming up over the next, till March, April next year. That's been postponed over the last, 6 months.
Yeah.
So,
So let's get it.
bring it on.
Bring it on.
Bring it on,
Awesome.
baby. Gentlemen, this has been an absolute pleasure. Ladies and gentlemen, Surreal Melbourne. Don't know what episode this is because, it might be episode 7 or 8 or whatever the fuck it is. Stay tuned. Follow us on all our socials and watch the whole thing if you can in one go. I dare you. I double dare you.
I triple dare.
I trip.
Quadruple dare you.
So
Let's do it.
Stay safe.
stay safe. Stay out of lockdown. This is Surreal Melbourne.
Thank
Over
you.
and out.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.